You're watching The 12th Man at Arrowhead Drive, hosted by Kevin Britton, right here on Stadium Drive Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the 12th Man at Arrowhead Drive. If you are new to the channel, I am your host, Kevin Britton, bringing you all your Chiefs content every Sunday and every Wednesday right here on Stadium Drive Sports. Now, today we're going to be talking defensive ends. Who are some of the free agents we could be looking at? Who maybe has already been tagged or signed by their current team that we now have to mark off our list, as well as who are the draft prospects that the Chiefs could be looking at. We're going to take a look into all of that here today on the 12th Man at Arrowhead Drive, and we'll dive right into it right after this.
Welcome, Royals Empire. You now have an informative, interactive show made right here in Kansas City and made just for the Royals fans. Hosted by me, Sean Barr. Let me take you down the Royal way as you indulge yourself with some great Royals coverage along with coverage around the league. Plus a variety of fun segments. Might even learn a thing or two. Even for the avid fan. Come join me. This is the Royal Way, only here on Stadium Drive Sports.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump right into this today. We're going to start by taking a quick look at the free agent defensive ends that the Chiefs could have or had their eye on. So let's go ahead and take a look. So, first person on the list is somebody we have to immediately mark off. Harold Landry has been re-signed by the Tennessee Titans. So we can mark him right on off of this list and move right past him. Next up is Chandler Jones. In my opinion, if we are looking at spending big bucks in free agency, this is the one we spend it on. Yes, Chandler Jones may be a little up there in age, but the production speaks for itself. Looking at this past year, in 15 games, he was able to have 10.5 sacks. That number alone says, please come to Kansas City. You are way better than Frank Clark, and you likely will cost a little less than what we would have had to pay Frank Clark this year. Chandler Jones' expected salary would be somewhere around $16 million or so. So again, if we're looking to spend big money on one player, he is the one I would want to go after. Randy Gregory, character issues, but very productive player. 12 games last year, he had a sack and half of them, basically, if you look at the numbers. He had 6 sacks. A little less per year, 12 mil, definitely doable. Von Miller, I think the likelihood is that Von Miller stays in LA with the Rams. Slight chance he chooses to go back to Denver. Not taking that one out of the equation. But maybe he just wants another change of scenery. Don't expect it, but if he does, Kansas City will welcome you with open arms. He'd be looking around $15 million or so. And then just some other options, more inexpensive options, not your first wave of free agency per se. Derek Barnett, he's been kind of underwhelming for his career, but a solid player. And he's the least expensive of this list of kind of second tier with $6 million. Somebody we're very familiar with from this past season, Melvin Ingram, would be looking at about $8 million. Now, a lot of people, and I have said it, love to have Melvin Ingram back in Kansas City. He was a spark for the team, but I'm kind of changing my direction on this. I want to see vast improvement across the defensive line. I feel like other than Chris Jones bringing anybody else back, we're kind of negating that vast improvement. I think we were all high on Ingram because he's different than Frank Clark, and we were all very tired of Frank Clark. And I think we're comparing Melvin Ingram to our thoughts with Frank Clark, as opposed to comparing him to other options that we could be bringing in. And I think there are better options in free agency, and I think there's also better options in the draft as well. I think there's a chance that we kind of double dip in the draft and look at two different defensive ends in the draft, because this draft class is deep. We will touch on that draft class and go a little more in depth here in just a moment. Another guy we're familiar with, Justin Houston. Don't know if he would be willing to come back to Kansas City, but still a productive player. Inexpensive in cost at roughly $7 million expected. Last guy, Jerry Hughes. I've heard some talks about interest from the Chiefs potentially. Not coming from the actual Chiefs saying this, but hearing this from some other fans and such. I just don't think Jerry Hughes is a big enough upgrade for us to where I think he should be somebody that we're actually eyeing. But, you know, Veach has his opinion. Spagnuolo has his opinion. So could be an option that we could be going towards. But that is our list of some of the higher free agents that we could be looking at in the first or second wave of free agency. I want to spend more time today talking about the defensive end in this upcoming draft, because it is a deep edge class in this draft, and there are a lot of options at a lot of different rounds. We could even be getting a starter in the draft somewhere near the 5th round of this draft. So we're going to start to look into that right after this. All right, guys. It is that time to start to look at the defensive ends that are in the 2022 draft class. Now, I've left off some names purposely, some guys that either I'm not interested in or I think that there is no way possible that they drop down to us at pick number 30. So I have made sure to just leave them off. Don't need to discuss some of the guys that are expected to go very, very high. People like Kayvon Thibodeau, Aiden Hutchinson, and such. So let's go ahead and take a look at some people that could possibly be options for the Chiefs in the draft. First guy, George Carloftus out of Purdue. I'm not particularly high on Carloftus. He doesn't really have the explosion. He is a Spags guy, though, so got to have him on the list, because if Spagnuolo has his say-so, we all know that Spagnuolo really likes the big defensive ends. 255 pounds or more, long arms, edge setter. You are a Spags guy. Now, Carloftus is a first-round projection at this time. And next up is somebody I'm much higher on that still fits the Spags mold, and that's Cameron Thomas out of San Diego State. Tested very well at the Combine, which has kind of shot his draft stock considerably up. I've now moved him into first-round consideration. Next is Jermaine Johnson, who is a much more athletic guy. He comes out of Florida State, so he actually played with Kendo in college. So you came from Florida State, I'm going to assume you're much more of a raw prospect, because they don't develop talent very well at this time. But Jermaine Johnson, big dude, he's 6'5", 254 pounds, extremely athletic, and again, first round projection on him. Next, out of Penn State, we have Arnold Ebiketti, 6'2", 250 pounds. Again, a Spags type. Second round projection on Ebiketti. Again, not extremely explosive. Not somebody I'm high on, but somebody that could be very high on the Chiefs boards. After that, we have Nick Bonito. Bonito's a little more of kind of a tweener type. He's 6'3", 248. Don't know how great of a fit he would be with the Chiefs, but he's definitely an option that we could be looking at, especially if he were to fall to us at, pick number 62 or whatever it is that we have. Yeah, 62, I believe. So the second round projection. And then we have a guy I am pretty big on, even though he fits the mold of a Spags in regards to size. Boye Mafe, standing at 6'4", 265 pounds, projected second rounder. Not sure if he's there at 64 for us, but if he is, gotta look long and hard at potentially bringing in Boye Mafe. After that, we have Myjai Sanders out of Cincinnati. Myjai is much more of an athletic guy, 6'5", 228 pounds, so on the lighter side. He actually dropped weight coming into the combine. He is, I guess for lack of better terms, trying to make it known that he would rather be an outside linebacker in a 3-4 as opposed to a defensive end in a 4-3. So he has the athletic traits that I would be looking for, but not sure with him losing the weight if it is a legitimate option for us at this time. I think we could bring him in and have him put a little bit of that weight back on to play in a 4-3 and we would be okay. Last guy on this list, and then I have a whole nother list because this draft class is that deep at defensive end. But last one on this particular list is Drake Jackson out of USC. Drake Jackson is 6'4", 250 pounds, third round projection. Kind of fits the mold for everything that you want. The production just doesn't completely match up for Drake Jackson, so I think there's a little more development that we would have to do with him to really get true impact out of Drake Jackson. Now, let's take a look at what we have after that. So more in the third round and beyond. And this one, I feel like we really start to get to some value. And you're starting to look at some guys that you could possibly be getting in the third, fourth, or fifth round that could potentially be starters on this team right away. First, we have Kingsley Enagbare out of South Carolina. He is a little more developmental, needs a little more refining of his game. He's 6'4", 255 pounds, third round projection. And if you feel like your coaching staff can do what needs to be done to get him at the NFL level, I think a third round pick on him is definitely viable. Next up, big dude, Logan Hall, 6'6", 282 pounds with a third round projection. So this is a guy you could line up at defensive end, and when you get to third down in those, third and long guaranteed pass rush situations, kick him to the inside, play him next to Chris Jones, bring in a Kendo to be more of a speed guy on the outside, then be able to kind of combine those together. Sam Williams out of Mississippi, 6'4", 261 pounds, also third round projection, also a pretty good fit on this team. As you guys can see, this is a deep class. These are a lot of different players to be talking about, potential starters. We then have Isaiah Thomas out of OU. He's 6'5", 266 pounds. I have a fourth round projection on him. He could come in and start right away. That is a fourth round pick if he falls to us there that could start right off the bat. Then we have Joshua Pascal out of Kentucky, 6'3", 268 pounds, fifth round projection. So now we're moving into this fifth round, and all these guys can be starters. Don't feel like these are just backups or just depth pieces that we've kind of talked about in the past. Alex Wright out of UAB, 6'5", 271 pounds. Big dude, but freak of an athlete, right? You can get an athlete like that with that size in the fifth round. You are having a day in the draft. And then we have a much more upside athletic guy with Tyrique Smith out of OSU, 6'3", 254. Again, fifth round projection. You can see all these guys kind of teeter around that 255 mark that I know Spags kind of looks for. So these are guys that fit his mold, but some of them being more athletic than others. So we have a lot of different types of options. We can go big, but we can also go big and speed at the same time. That's what I would be looking for. I don't just want the big edge setters that can push the pocket. I want guys that have some bend, have some flexibility, can get around the edge. Because again, I could see us moving into more of a 3-4, whether it be 2 years from now, 3 years from now. And we run a ton of sub-package defense. We're not always just sitting in there in a 4-3. We already run some 3-4s and different formations that we can utilize these athletic guys in. And then the last guy, Deangelo Malone out of Western Kentucky, 6'4", 258 pounds. Again, a 5th round projection. So we could definitely see the Chiefs making some moves in the draft. Get rid of a 6th round and 7th round, or 6 and a couple 7ths, to move up into the 5th round. Get one of these guys, a Pascal, White, Smith, Malone, be able to get them in a 5th round slot. And my hope is that means we're pairing them with somebody we took in the 1st round, maybe the 2nd round. Get a couple of different guys in here, some young guys, some athletic guys. And why not pair up a couple different styles? Go ahead and get a Spagnuolo type guy, get an edge setter, a big dude that fits what he likes, and also bring in somebody that's got a lot of athleticism as well. Gives us different options and different packages. We can maneuver guys inside, outside, have specific packages we bring in for speed rushers or power rushers. Like, we can get really creative with this defense next year if we go out and make the right moves in the draft and hit on some of these guys. So we'll continue to dive in to these different positions and free agents and draftees, and I'll continue to keep you guys updated on anybody that I have on my radar that I've talked about, if they end up getting signed anywhere in free agency. And we'll kind of start to keep an updated list of people we have our eyes on and kind of see what happens when free agency starts. So teams can start contacting players and agents as of March the 14th. That is referred to as the legal tampering period. It's weird that you can tamper, but it's legal. But then they can officially sign on the dotted lines on the 16th. So when the 14th rolls around, that's when we're going to start hearing a lot of the rumors and chatter, and this guy's going to sign here, this guy's going to sign here, and then it can all become official on the 16th. Now, for the Chiefs, I think that we make one splash move in free agency. I think the cap room that we'll have by then should be sitting somewhere close to 45 to 50 million after we do some restructures of people like Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, Joe Tooney. We can free up about 25 million with restructures of those 3 guys. Restructuring Mahomes, we can free up another 22 million. Extension on Tyreek Hill, they're working on that as we speak. I think that will be done sooner rather than later. Then we'll probably be able to reduce his cap hit this coming year by anywhere from $5 to $10 million. So we should be somewhere between $45, $50 million in availability to be able to go out and make a splash move early in free agency. Could be that we look wide receiver, could be that we look defensive end. We have a lot of spots to fill. So definitely stay tuned. I will keep you guys up to date. And leave me a comment down below. Let me know which of the guys I talked about today piques your interest. Is there anybody that you would like to see us sign or draft out of this list? Because I'd like to get your guys' feedback. If there's anybody not on my list that you guys have some interest in, let me know. I'll be happy to pull up some information on them, and we can talk about them on a future episode as well, and kind of have a list going between all of us as Chiefs fans. You guys are the 12th man at Arrowhead Drive. I'm just here to host it. So leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Again, if you guys enjoy the content of the show, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Click the like button. I appreciate it. It would allow this to get out to more people on YouTube to be able to see this content and come join the 12th Man family. But again, be sure to tune in every Sunday and Wednesday to the 12th Man at Arrowhead Drive right here on Stadium Drive Sports with myself, Kevin Britton. Appreciate you guys, and until next time.